Good morning, everybody. GM. Welcome to Takeoff Tuesday. Just kidding. That was your wake-up call. It's Money Monday. GM. Got some interesting stuff for you today, and let's jump into it.
Hey, maybe if you ignore Monday, it'll just go away.
Is that how that works? Awesome. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So let's do this real quick. Quote of the day. There are many people that have more talent than you, but there's no excuse for anyone to work harder than you. There are many people that have more talent than you, but there's no excuse for anyone to work harder than you. Derek Jeter, New York Yankees, one of the best. Also wanted to give a big shout out to Scott and Sue Buckholtz for being on the Renatus reviews. By the way, Scott is one of the co-hosts of our Saturday Zoom property tour. He helps out with Yazoo New Mayor on their calendar schedule, but he does it for the nation, for Renatus Nation. So if for some crazy reason you find yourself not doing anything on a Saturday or an event to attend, use his property tours to introduce people. He's done over 100 now. And anyway, we're appreciative of his diligence and hard work for our community. Okay, next, let's jump into the top 10 weekly ICMs. This is always exciting to see. So congrats to Mitch and Maley being in the number 1 position. Number 2 is Christopher Jansen from California. We got Cade Hebden from the Idaho team, number 3. Number 4 is Alinda Riley Jensen. Number 5, Yazoo New Mayor Hawk. Well done. Amanda Carmichael coming in number 6. Number 7, Richard Stock, Becky Lambert, number 8. Well done, Nate and Becky Lambert. Francisco Diaz from the Indiana team coming in at number 9. And number 10, Benjamin Creelman. Well done, folks. It just keeps getting better. Hey, if you haven't watched the Generally Speaking episode about how and why to grow your ICM team, check out this video here from Mr. Snyder. I think you're really going to like it. Okay. The countdown continues. We are at 59 days, practically 58 days away from the E3 life-changing mega event of the year. The first one was great. This next one coming up is going to be even better because, of course, we learn, we improve, we optimize. So I encourage you to attend as a builder, not just as a passenger. Plenty of ICMs and guests will show up as passengers. Don't let that be you. Be the driver, be the doer, be the person who is at effect instead of at cause, and bring guests. Show them this is the way. In fact, that was one of our theme songs. One of the nationals was "This is the way." Renatus is the way to your wealth and prosperity, to education, community, even world-class forms of entertainment. All right. Now, I was working on something over the weekend that I wanted to show you guys. So I'm going to bring that up, but also feel free, new folks, returning folks, if you got questions, you can raise your hand, type it in the chat, or come off of mute, and I will be sure to answer your question to the best of my abilities. So here we go. So this is the zoomed out version. I found this and then I decided, you know what, I want to do some training on this. We talked a couple months ago about a book that I read twice that I feel like everybody should read. It's called Thinking Fast and Slow. In fact, I got the kids version and reading it with my boy right now. And there's 2 parts of our brain. One draws conclusions quickly, and one uses associations and takes a little bit more time. But they're both under extreme biases and are often wrong. I'll give you an example. You guys ready for a little little brain exercise. And if you remember this from last time, don't shout out the answer, but I want people to just think for a second, watch how the two sides of your brain go about this. So we have two items. Okay, we have a baseball and we have a baseball bat. Got the ball and the bat. The bat costs $1 more than the ball, and together they cost $1.10. How much does the ball cost? Okay, question. How much does the ball cost? We got the bat, we got the ball. The bat is $1 more. Together they cost $1.10. How much does the ball cost? What's your answer? What does your brain want to say? Did I misspeak, Steve? If the bat is $1, together the bat and the ball cost $1.10. How much does the ball cost?
Hey, Michael,
Mehan
I
says
think it's a
10
trick
cents.
question. So technically it is a 10 cents, but then I think maybe it's saying that the bat is 10 cents more, so it could be a dollar 10. That so it would be $2.10. So there's like a, so there's like a trick to that. So I mean technically it would be, if you think of it, it would be 10 cents. Because a dollar plus together is $1.10. So it would be like 10 cents, for the bat, right? Because the
That's
bat
what your brain wants to say, doesn't it?
okay, say it again. Okay, say the question again.
This is amazing. Yeah, I'm gonna pull up the a whiteboard and we'll just type it out real quick. Because once you recognize that your brain is doing this to you, then when it comes to the decision making that you need to do, you can double check it against these things. So here we go. We got a bat. We got a ball. Bat is $1 more than the ball. Together, they cost $1.10. How much does the ball cost? Okay, I see some answers in the chat here. Okay,
You
so
brought this question a while back, but I can't remember exactly what the answer was.
and this is one reason why I'm circling back around to this concept, because I didn't see a change in nearly anybody from their decision making the last time we talked about it. So it's feedback to me
I thought the
about
question was how much more is the bat than the ball?
no, that's not my question. The answer to that is on the screen. The bat is $1 more than the ball. So the question is, how much is the ball? Together they cost $1.10. Bat is $1 more. So the fast thinking and the slow thinking brain do different things. Both parts of your brain are trying to optimize for calories and production, right? So the fast thinking brain wants to say 10 cents. But that is wrong. It's 5 cents. It's 5 cents, folks. If it's $1 more, we got ourselves 5 cents here for the ball. And the bat is $1 more than the ball. Then the bat means it's 105. So the total to get to our 110. Now, your job is to create wealth in America and not be tricked by the fast thinking part of your brain that says it's 10 cents. How many decisions a day are you going around letting that part of your brain just tell you things that you think are real? Is anyone here having a aha moment or like a wait a minute kind of moment where you're like, because depending on the types of deals you're doing, the types of marketing that you're doing, the types of other businesses and relationships that you have throughout your day, you might be making dozens or hundreds of decisions every day. And if you are not watching what's happening with the decision-making process, you're going to be off the mark. How many times can you afford to be off the mark before you're bankrupt? Which is why I thought maybe we should talk about this as a team today. Fast thinking and slow thinking. Okay, so how? Still don't get it. 10 cents and fireworks. So mainly the question is what prompts the answer, which is one of our cognitive biases. When I ask the question, how much does the ball cost? And you think $1 more, then what the fast thinking brain does, it goes back to the most recent piece of information, which was together they cost $1.10. So then you think $1.10, $1 more. Oh, I just deduct the dollar from the $1.10. Now my answer is 10. But right here, if the bat is $1 more than the ball, and we must get to the answer $1.10, we have to work it backwards. $1.10, $1 more than the ball. You get it now? Or ask a question. Because this happens when we're doing our follow-ups. It happens when we're doing our prospecting. We automatically just start jumping to conclusion, jump. And we might start labeling people, putting them in boxes, and then not looking them at as viable prospects, or maybe seeing things in a deal that actually aren't there because we think we added stuff up real quick and got a different number than what the calculator says. Very interesting. Okay, so let me pull up this other document here. So that's what this explosion is. So
But
this one
if the
example that
bat
we
is $1,
talked about,
if the bat's $1 and the ball is, oh yeah.
you see what I mean?
Yep, got it.
Yeah. Yep. So fast thinking and slow thinking. And so that one example that I showed you was one of these bullet points in this whole thing of about 60, 65. There's a lot. And so then they broke it up into sections here. The first one is too much information. The other one is not enough meaning. And over here is need to act fast. And up here is what should we remember? And then that's broken down into the subcategories. So for example, under too much information, there's going to be, we notice things already primed in our memory or repeated often. So that question primed in your memory for the ball and the bat was the dollar. And then we started focusing on the dollar and then the $1.10. So our brain again is just trying to preserve calories and get to the fastest answer and stay alive. So that's why we have two sides of our brain. The next one would be bizarre, funny, visually striking, or anthropomorphic things that stick out more than the non-bizarre or unfunny things. So that would be the humor effect, the von Restort effect, which I don't know what that is, picture superiority effect, the self-relevance effect, the negativity bias, and the bizarreness effect. We notice when something has changed. So that's going to be on anchoring, conservatism, contrast effect, distinction bias, focusing effect, framing effect, money illusion, and the Weber-Fechner law, which I don't know what that one is, but I did break a few things down on my next sheet real quick. Just wanted to give you the overview of where we're going with this. Next one. This one is the one that causes destruction. We are drawn to details that confirm our own existing beliefs. All right? Don't confuse me with facts. My mind is made up. What a crazy way to live, but most people do it by default. And that's confirmation bias, congruence bias, post-purchase rationalization, choice supportive bias, selective perception, right? We accuse kids of that all the time. You have selective hearing. But yeah, it's you don't grow out of it unless you pay attention. Observer expectancy effect, experimenter's bias, observer effect, expectation bias, ostrich effect, subjective validation, continued influence effect, and the Semmelweis reflex. And then last one, we notice flaws in others more easily than notice flaws in ourselves. The bias blind spot, naive cynicism, and naive realism. All right, so again, I'm bringing this up because a few decisions can make or break your deals or your portfolio. And as the stakes get higher, the prices go up, they keep printing the money, number just keeps going up. The risks are also going up, especially if you think about the last 5 or 10 years as more and more institutional buyers and hedge funds are playing in the real estate investing space. Your competition just went way up. And if you don't have rules and metrics for how you make your decisions, you are going to make them wrong because of these things. All right, so let me pull up this next thing. Yep. And here I was thinking I'm an overthinker. Yep. Very interesting. All right, so move this out of the way, move that out of the way, bring this back up. Hey, did anyone watch the Fed chair speech on Friday? They did a conference in Jackson Hole on Friday, and people had quite a response to it. Did anyone watch it? Mm-hmm. Okay, well, one thing he said during that, which is relevant to us as real estate investors, is they being the Federal Reserve, which is the creature from Jekyll Island, in case you haven't read the book, they have been operating under this dual mandate for the last 112 years since they were formed, to keep inflation at a 2% target and keep employment high. Inflation at a 2% target and employment high. Okay, so $2 was the anchor. Now, do you remember when I went on my little rant? It's about a month ago when we started talking about money printing, inflation, the real cost of dollar inflation versus CPI inflation, and that dollar inflation devaluation of the dollar being at 7%, but they're saying cost of goods is only 2%. And then the difference between 2 and 7% is just outrageous after 10 years. After 20 years, you're not even in the same category. Interest rate cuts are coming, but not because Trump told me so. Yeah. That's funny. He did hint at interest rates being dropped. But the thing is, more important than that is they decided to stop using 2% inflation as their anchor and use employment as their anchor. Which is even crazier because you can manipulate. I mean, they were already manipulating the price of goods, right? They said this cost this and this cost that, but then, you know, the price of things that you actually want is going sky high, but they don't include that in their calculation. And then the things we don't care about, like, you know, the cost of TVs. How many of you really are worried about the cost of TVs? Well, they've gone down 98% in the last 15 years, but the cost of steak has gone up 217% in the last 10 years. Which one's more important? So obviously the price of things was manipulated, but now they are going to detach themselves from the 2% inflation anchor and use whether or not they print money. That justification will be based off of employment. And guys, with how many robots are about to take white collar jobs, there's going to be a lot of unemployment. So there's going to be a lot of money printing, which means the people who hold assets will benefit, and the people who don't hold assets will be all the way left behind, so far behind they cannot catch up. That's why it's your duty, as someone who knows this, to involve more people in asset accumulation. 50% of Americans own at least one asset, whether it's a stock, a bond, a mutual fund, you know, real estate, gold, something. But the other 50% couldn't even tell you what an asset is. It's just a lack of education, not a lack of opportunity. So that's where we come in. When you educate someone, when you stretch their mind to receive an idea that can no longer go back to its original shape, and you can completely transform someone's life and all the little ones around them by introducing them to this program, for example, getting them educated in real estate so they can start accumulating assets. So as the Federal Reserve keeps printing money or the Treasury keeps issuing bonds, your wealth can be preserved. It's not just about making money. It's also about stopping the robbery. And that's why I say it's your duty to market as a marketer. Some of you are like, I don't want to tell people about it. Well, you better. You'd be better off. Okay, I'm going to give you guys a little...
Sorry, Michael, can you actually explain upon that just a little bit more? Like, that's very interesting. So, like, you're saying that the bonds, like, why does that have to do with like you holding assets? I don't understand the correlation.
Okay, so the one way of thinking about it is assets, real estate, gold, Bitcoin, bonds, all these things are, just think about them like a vacuum, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And the Federal Reserve is over there at the money printer, and when they hit print, they start spitting out all the money, the asset vacuums just suck it all up. It's just going straight into those. So you don't have the house that was built in 1960, your dad or your uncle or your grandpa bought for 15 grand. It's still the same sticks and bricks and asphalt shingles, but why is it now 400,000? It only increased in the dollar value because of the money printing, not because sticks and bricks got more valuable in our economy. Okay. So for the next 5-10 years, they're just going to hold the print button down. Okay. They have to, because of what the past Federal Chair Reserve and Treasury Secretary from 2 administrations ago, what they did with issuing short-term bonds. Normally for stability, they would issue 10-year bonds. And people would buy them, they'd give them a 3, 4, 5% interest rate, and now there's liquidity for the government. People weren't buying those bonds, so they started making 12-month bonds and 6-month bonds and now 3-month bonds. And so now all these debts that the government owes to different nations are coming due a lot sooner than traditionally. So they have to go borrow money from themselves, even though the Federal Reserve is supposed to be separate. They're going to go borrow money from the Federal Reserve to pay back those people who bought the bonds. They don't have enough money to do that. So they need to either print more money or refinance at a lower rate. That's why they've been pushing for this drop the rate, so that America can refinance. They have a peak of bonds that are supposed to be paid back in 2026, the highest on record. And so they're trying to position themselves so that they don't default. They want to keep their AAA plus credit rating. But if they can't pay back Japan and Germany and all these other countries that have been buying our bonds, then we get a lower credit score as a nation, and then our bonds become even less valuable. And then we get into a liquidity crunch. So they're trying to get ahead of it and lower the interest rate while printing more money so that we don't default. But by printing more money, it makes things like real estate and gold go up on the dollar amount, but not the actual value, which is confusing people. Because if your steak was 90 cents a pound and now it's $11 a pound, and your house was 20 grand and now it's 200 grand, it's not more money, it's just a different number. And that's where people get trapped, and they get onto that rat race. The 40-40-40 plan is, the way people get lured into that is by what I'm talking about here. And the way out is by holding assets. Think about in the last 4 years, if you held gold was at 1,800 and now it's at 3,500. It's doubled in 5 years, but they've also doubled the amount of money they printed in the last 5 years. So gold didn't actually become more valuable. It just vacuum sucked the dollars out of the printer into the gold. So you picking up what I'm putting down? Okay. So with all that information, what's the instruction? The instruction is tell more people about Renatus. Get more people involved in assets. Sure, maybe so you can make some money and pay some bills, but even more importantly, so that more and more people have less suffering as the money printer is turned on full speed, right? They're gonna add some extension cords, and they're just gonna hook up all kinds of ink, and they're just gonna turn that printer on full blast. And if you are only holding cash, it's just going to be able to purchase less and less and less and less and less. Now, these are good people, hardworking, honest people, contributing to their communities, never broke a law, always trying to do right by their fellow human. But they're going to be trapped in the poverty cycle because they don't hold assets. And one thing that helps people to get into asset accumulation, which helped me, right? Because I came from a poor family, I had no idea. It was education and community to help kind of hold my hand and guide me through it. And what I found over the years is that we have, these cognitive biases that come up, and the best salespeople help folks overcome those cognitive biases and get into whatever's good for them: the program, the house, the car, whatever the salesperson is selling, right? You have to overcome these cognitive biases. So if you don't even know they're happening in your own brain, how are you going to help other people overcome them? Steak and TVs. Good. Yeah, because it's ay ay ay. Okay. Tamara has a question. GM Tamara, go ahead.
GM. So I heard you say something about over the next 5 years they're going to be printing. How quickly do you think we're going to feel the effects and or see the effects of their actions?
Well,
Is that a big question?
I mean, it kind of depends on how dependent you are on dollars from your work versus dollars from your assets. Like if you're an asset holder, it's not going to feel bad to you.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Like if you're holding 3, 4, 5 properties and they print a bunch of money, the value of those properties just went way up. So you can still afford all the stuff around you. You're not really going to feel it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So what's your next question?
I think that's it right now.
I think you just went hallelujah because you're holding assets.
Yeah, that's part of it.
Yeah,
Processing.
yeah, exactly. So the reason why I love
The,
Renatus is
the
because
overall thing is like,
go ahead.
I don't know, like, so if I'm trying to explain this to someone, and I'm not as smart as you, no, I'm just kidding. But like, if I'm trying to explain this and exploit this like concept, we need to like talk, how are we communicating this to mass media? Like, what's the, because it's still really confusing. It's just like, wait, what? Like, because people still don't get the idea of like money really doesn't have any tangible. I mean, it's what we put on it, right? Like, there is actually, it's not backed by gold because there is not enough gold. So, right, like I guess that's it's really confusing. I've been to
Yeah,
Fort Knox. There's not enough gold, so I don't,
there's
like, it's just not, where are they saying that? Like, how is it backed? I guess that's the other like side of this is like they're printing money with.
yeah. Well, we haven't had gold backing dollars since 1971.
Oh,
Yeah, we have been off the rails for the last 54 years. And the only thing that was any sort of control mechanism was that the Federal Reserve could print, which is called quantitative easing, or restrict the money, turn the printer off, which is quantitative tightening. It could only pull 2 levers to try to keep the cost of goods from getting out of control. So the crazy thing about why his speech on Friday is so shocking to so many people is because they're saying they're going to get away from that last tether, that last anchor to prevent hyperinflation, which was it cannot exceed over 2%, or we're all going to like fire you from the freaking job. And okay, so to answer your question, you're not making posts about velocity banking because it's a complicated concept and you want to put them in front of Mitch so that they can see the presentation and how it affects their life and then how they can do something about it and get into our program. I think it's going to be that same kind of thing where it's like find a tagline about it, but we need to incorporate it into the presentation to increase the motivation of buying an asset. It's not about get rich. It's about preventing poverty.
yeah,
And
that's very interesting. I love that.
yeah. So it's a duty. We found it. Bob Snyder says, "Don't pay it back, pay it forward." Right, and you know statute of responsibility and how that whole thing is laid out. It's about reaching down to that person behind you and pulling them up to the next step while you reach up and someone pulls you up to the next step, and it's this whole chain of support. It's one of the most profitable and beneficial, socially beneficial things you could do, which is educate people in asset accumulation.
So question, all right, here's a question. So, I mean, I think I already know the answer. I'm just processing this in my head. So, yeah, I mean, to kind of bounce off what Maylee's saying, to keep it in layman's terms for people, because we're such a cash driven society right now. I guess what would be the best way to prepare people? I mean, our education, but I mean, we have to simplify it. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting to have these conversations. I guess I'm all right.
Well,
I don't have a question.
I think a little bit of like what Mitch does a great job when he walks people down the history of like the assembly line and how Henry Ford did this and that, and then that created more of the traditional education that we're aware of. And it's education through history. So if we just went over where did the dollar come from? Why did people use it? Why did they say it's as good as gold? And now what happened? What happened? What happened? Because if you look at real estate in America until 1971, it was pretty flat. And then as soon as they got off the dollar standard, it's just started the hockey stick. And so a couple charts, a little story about history, and then we say, okay, so we look at the last 112 years. What do you think the next 12 years are going to look like? And if you think they're going to print more money, you're damn right. They shouldn't. It is theft, it's robbery, it's immoral, but they're kind of in a sticky situation because of previous printing. All right, so they got themselves into this mess with the short-term treasury bonds and having to refi. So the question is, do we put ourselves into a recession for several years, or do we just hit print? They're picking print, obviously. Yeah, back in the 80s, gosh, I'm blanking on the guy's name, the Federal Reserve Chairman from 1981, Volcker, that's it. He said, no, we're not printing. And it's because of his determination to preserve as much value for the American people is why we got interest rates up to 18, 19, 20% for a mortgage, because they weren't printing money. So the money that was there became more valuable, so they could charge more interest for it. And that short-term crunch, 3, 5, 8 years, created a 30-year boom. But after every contraction comes an expansion, and after every expansion comes a contraction. So now would be the natural time. Actually, it would have been about 10 years ago, it would have been the natural time to contract. But they didn't. They printed, and then they printed, and they printed some more. And they're just going to do it again. They're just going to keep extending the expansion, which laws of nature say that the contraction is going to be even tighter. So those who hold assets will be fine. So educate yourself. Get obsessed with your classes. Use the tools and techniques and methods to stay focused while you're educating yourself. And turn it around for you, for your family. And this is why I was like, dude, I don't care if someone thinks I'm dumb or silly or goofy for trying to market to them and sell them something awesome. They don't understand yet. And I do, which is why I'm throwing them the lifeline. I'm throwing them the lifesaver, the lifeboat. I'm throwing them a line. They say no, that's fourth core belief, right? If it's your loss if you say no. Okay. You want to say no, then watch them print your wealth away. It is literally the confiscation of your wealth. Right? And we could get onto the tangents, but it's essentially Like when you earn more money than you need, then you go put it in your savings account. Well, how did you earn that money? You spent your life energy, right? You spent your time, aka your life, to go and create that value, and then you're trying to store it. So now you're holding it. You're holding your life energy value, and then someone over there hits print, print, print. They're just devaluing your life because they're devaluing your time by devaluing your money. So, yep, I want to throw you a lifeline. And here's a something neat that I leaned on for a long time while I was first learning this was, I know I need to get in real estate. I know you do too. I'm not the best at explaining it. However, there's a fantastic gentleman who's going to be doing a training this Thursday night at 7. I'm going to go. I'm going to meet some people. I'm going to educate myself. Would you like to come with me and be my guest? And now we're mission driven, right? Because a lot of you already have assets and you're like, cool, I'm good. I could turn it on. I could turn it off. I can do 10 deals a year or 1 deal a year, depending on what's happening in my life, right? Huge benefit for me, right? Like I just ramped it up. I was doing 60, 70 hours a week marketing real estate. And then I had a baby, dropped that down 10, 15 hours a week because I could. Baby started growing, more time, freedom, ramped it back up, went and bought 10 properties, 8 of them on the same street. Second baby came, turned it down for a minute. We have the benefit as asset holders and business owners to be able to control it like that. That control that you now have over your life, help others get it, and you will enrich yourself beyond your imagination. There's no way I could have imagined when I first started that I'd be earning millions and millions of dollars through the Renatus marketing program just by pointing at the program. Now, I like doing these webinars and these trainings and educational events, but I don't have to, right? It's not in our ICM contract. It's just connect customer to product, get paid. And the way that corporate's investing in the program and improving things like the E3s where people can get a real taste for it. You have to use this stuff. Otherwise, like I said, you'll be fine. But the thing that is always in the back of my mind is the principles of Think and Grow Rich when he talks about anything you do to or for another, you do to or for yourself. It's in the Bible, it's in a bunch of places. So if I'm going around helping people get into assets, not so they can get rich, it's two different things. I want to get rich, but I know a lot of people don't. They just don't want to be poor. And so, okay, buy some real estate. Jim Rohn says, look, I teach kids by age 7 entrepreneurship, get 2 bikes, 1 to ride, 1 to rent. So it's not about, being better than or worse than. I'm rich, you're not. In my mind, no way is it like that. It's not a comparison thing. It's wow, I finally have a lifeline and extra oxygen. I can breathe better. This is why, I want to tell you about it. I see you trying to, breathe through a straw. And that's called hold dollars when you should be holding real estate. You should be holding notes. You should be holding tax liens and contracts for deed. These are the assets that are going to protect you from the confiscation of your wealth. Tim, you sent me an interesting text over the weekend. Do you mind when you get a second, come off of mute and just share with the group a few things you learned about productivity? Last week we talked about installing an app for when it's time to go do research, right? How did that work out for you?
Yeah, YouTube, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's that YouTube. I also downloaded Brave. But yeah, so Michael Huggins last week gave us like 4 or 5 nuggets on how we can decrease distractions, right?
Yep.
So one of them was Brave as a website, and I love it because just Brave alone, you go to websites and there's no clutter, there's no like pop-up ads or anything like that. You just content. So even if you want to go to YouTube, boom, like it gets rid of all the things. If you go on X, it gets rid of all the ads. You know, it just gets rid of everything. And so I don't know how long this is going to last though, because engineers are always trying to do what they can to overcome that, you know, to get past those things. But that was great. But I think the biggest one, because not only me but also my kids, is YouTube. YouTube, if you guys use it, I use it. I use it. I hope. Well, my goal is when I use it, I'd go there for a purpose. But it's really, YouTube is really good at sucking your attention away. At like, oh, what's this shiny video? Oh, look at that video. Oh, look at that video. Look at that video. And you jump into it when you should have been working and grinding away. And then it takes away your thing. It takes your dopamine level away. It takes your excitement, your energy. And then all of a sudden now, after, let's say you're thinking, just 5-minute video. 2 hours later, you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. Like, I'm tired now. And when all that could have been avoided, if you would have just, sorry, gotta get my kid in this. If you would have just hid the distraction. And so starts with the U, not upkeep. Yeah, upkeep.
Unhook.
Unhook. That's what it was. So getting the extension unhook will get rid of all the like all of your things, so that when you go to YouTube, it's just a black screen or a white screen. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like my kids are also developing that like dopamine stuff too when YouTube's pulled up. And so it's like, okay, I need to download this on all of my devices for them, so that when they come on, we tell them it's for them to study whatever it is, Portuguese, watch these Portuguese videos, while or learn this language. And and now, which I need to make sure I get through to all of them, but when they get on for the right reason, and there's nothing that's going to like distract them or tempt them to like watch this little like Mr. Beast something, or just like, you know, this thing that's going to suck their time away. And I like to use the analogy of you have like, let's say you have 10, like every hour you have a coin in your day, and you can either use your coin to pay to as a distract, and other ones for building and for burning. Yeah, you use your coin, you can put it in that hour, and you can build, you get more coins back, or you can put it in and burn it away, and you'll never see it again. And so how we treat our time, are we building, are we using the time to build, or that? So I appreciate Michael for showing us so that I can use. So it's easier for a very distracted brain like mine, it's very shiny object, to be able to focus, to hyper focus better. So thank you.
Yes, sir. Yeah, I'm appreciative of your feedback that you're actually using what I'm sharing. So it's definitely makes it more worth it to keep showing up and making a difference, because when I find the good things that work for me, I want to share them with you guys. And it's that same principle carrying forward about why we market, why we invite to events, why we send Zoom links, why we bring people to our workshops. And it's to, you know, for the betterment of humanity, to use a tagline. So I've dropped the link in the chat for the extensions. You can install it on your devices, and then you can customize it so it only hides this or only shows that, but it will help you focus so you can get all the assets that you need so you can live your life by design. So, and then if you want to dive more into the cognitive biases understanding, check out the book Thinking Fast and Slow, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And just keep sharing what you learn. People are going to thank you later.
That
Yes, sir.
book, Thinking Fast and Slow, it's better to actually get the physical book, because if you do Audible, you will be lost, and it's hard to keep up, and you're basically not following as it's intended to be. Like, it's best to recommend the physical book.
Yeah, they got pictures and charts and graphs that you need to reference. So yeah, definitely put the visuals on. The book is called Thinking Fast and Slow. And it's important that you understand to make rules around your decisions, because everybody, world-class stockbrokers, highest trained PhDs, everybody, the more decisions you have to make, the lower quality decisions you make over time. So you need to
Who's
have
the
rules.
author in that, Michael, again?
Oh, the author, Kinnaman, Daniel Kinnaman.
Okay, thank you.
Sweet. All right, folks, get out there, share the great message of Renatus and our community, and go make a difference for people. And we will see you tomorrow for Takeoff Tuesday. Have a wonderful day. Appreciate you all. See you soon. Bye for now.